Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolours. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one.
Welcome back everybody. I've made this one up and it's basically to get you to move away from a photograph and make your own paintings up. This will stretch your imagination and make you use your colour palette rather than being fixated on a photograph. Trying to reproduce a photograph can be a bit soul destroying. This is your colour palette, not the photograph. So what I've got in here is a mixture of cobalt blue and cobalt violet, cobalt blue, cobalt violets with a mixture of Van Dyke brown in it. You can use burnt umber, and that's a French ultramarine with cobalt violets and brown. So I've left a thin film of water on the paper. You will need a tissue for this. I want to put the top part of the sky in, and this is to get you to experiment with your skies. As it's running through the water, it's just exploding everywhere. Kind of like that. I'll bring this down here, and sometimes you have to give it a good dose of neglect and not worry too much. Now I do want some hard edges in this, so I'm going to take my tissue and I'm going to produce some hard edges in this. We can add water back into this to give some softer parts to it. May want to add a little bit of water in here just to help with the flow. We can always take it out again. The bottom part of the sky right at the minute, I'm just going to drop some Naples yellow. I have dried off around the barn because I don't want the paint to spread into that at the moment. I want to keep it clean. And I'm going to take some of this cobalt blue with cobalt violet and some Van Dyke brown. I'm going to drop this in, but just check it for strength first. You can bring these two colours together. So we make some sort of cloudy bits, just adding water to it. And as I come round here, I'll drop some cadmium orange in. Back to this again, some water. Just pushing some of it together. This is a French ultramarine, burnt umber or Van Dyke brown. This is a stronger mixture. Some cobalt violet, French ultramarine, Van Dyke brown, and we're just going to drop some darker patches in, just into the clouds, just emphasising some darker areas. Don't want it everywhere, I just want to make it interesting. Taking some more of the blue, cobalt violet, and just strengthening up some of the blue. See how you can play with it, not too long. And I'm going to take some water and just, with some of the light patches that you put in with a towel, you can just drop some water in and just allow this to push the colour about. Just tapping some of the edges, softening it. I'm going to let that dry. Okay, I've let the sky dry off naturally. Some people use a hairdryer. It can create problems sometimes, especially as wet as I can paint. It can create cauliflowers, back runs and all sorts, so I leave it to dry naturally. This is just some yellow ochre that I've re-wet the background hills and the whole of the white space around here, and I'm just going to run some yellow ochre in, just indicating some hills in the background. Very simply done, using a little light red or burnt sienna, and just run it along the back, just to help separate it if you want to do that. just pull some of this colour down. It's very light, very light. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow pale and I'm going to create a bright spot there. Let it run into the wall. It's not really, doesn't matter. I'll take some of the Naples yellow that we put in the sky. I have set the board at an angle so this will run a bit, and then I will set it flat once I've got the colours on. Just bringing it up into the wall, dry stone wall, and into that I want to drop some light red. Just autumn colours, and also some of the yellow ochre. Bring some of that light red into the wall. Then I'm going to lie that flat and let that dry. I just want to take some cadmium yellow and I'm just going to paint these in with a brush. Just putting some of the colour in just to help separate the trees out. If it's an autumn picture, we'll put some yellow in. If you enjoy these videos, please click the like button, consider subscribing, it all helps. This is a mixture of cadmium yellow and French ultramarine with a little bit of light red in. And I'm just using the tip of the brush. Then I'm going to take some of the light red, drop this in. You can use burnt sienna, it doesn't really matter. Get some autumn changes to it. And I'm going to take actually some of the sky colour, which is the cloudy colour. This one. I'm going to drop this in, just to create the dark in the tree. And things don't all have to be greens. And which I think was the French ultramarine with a little bit of cobalt violet in it, burnt umber or Van Dyke brown. Any brown will do. And I'm just edging out the top of the wall. And I want to take some nice dark colour, French ultramarine and burnt sienna. Just create some nice dark edges. To leave the top of the wall white when we get round to painting it, and I'm going to darken up just around the edge of the building, the barn, the same colour. I'm going to take some French ultramarine and burnt umber, and I'm just going to create this tree here. Some branches on it. Build it out with a few wispy branches. Clean that off. I'm going to take some light red. Just add some into this tree. Just gives the impression of some foliage that's left on it. And then because I don't want this to run, I'm going to let that dry. Now that you've let your trees and bushes really dry off, I'm going to take some of the sky colour, which is the cobalt blue and cobalt violet, and I'm just going to drop some of this in. I've re-wet the whole of the barn area, all the white spaces just is all wet down to the wall, but I've painted around the wall with water, and it's darker on this side, so I'm going to drop a little bit more depth into it, a little more depth under the eave. I'm just going to drop some colours in. And with that I'm just going to drop some light red in. Pulling it through the roof. I'm just going to let this run and all stay together kind of thing. Just let it all merge. I'd like to drop a little bit of orange in. It's in the sky so you can use it. Planks don't have to be grey and things like that. You don't have to use these colours I've got on my palette. You can mix your own. And what would be nice would be a little bit of the green that we've had in the trees, just for a little bit of moss that can be growing. Tickle this out, as I like to say. I'm going to take some clean water and I'm just going to run this into the wall, but I'm leaving white paper. I'm not going all the way up to the edge. Same on this side. This is so the barn doesn't run into the wall, but I do want some white capping stones. Then into that, I'm going to take some of the cloud colour. I'm going to drop this in just with the brush. Take some of the green, some moss in the wall, and a little bit of the blue. And I'm just wiping the bottom and allowing this to creep into the ground. Just before I leave that to dry, I'm going to take some French ultramarine and burnt umber, very dark mixture, and I'm going to just run this down the edge and allow it to mix with the other colours. Just pulling a little bit of it down. You can just edge a little bit of this out, dark under the eave, just creating some shadow just by allowing it all to run together. Don't want the barn roof to be too straight, so I'm going to put a little curve in it, drag some of this down. So if you enjoy these videos, please click the like button. Please make a comment. It's all encouragement to paint more or paint less. Now I'm going to leave that to dry. I just took a watercolour pencil and I just put some planking in, just with the edge of this. You can do it with a normal pencil if you've got one, and I put some rock lines in with it as well. And we can carry on. I'm going to take some dark colour, French ultramarine and burnt umber, and I'm just going to paint this doorway in real dark shadow. Very simply done, leaving it a rough edge on the bottom. And next I want to let some light into it, so I'm going to diagonally just take some out of this corner, just to allow some light to pass through the door. Let's take some light red. I'm just going to stroke this in. I'm just going to start to strengthen up some areas in the foreground. I'm just going to add some browns into this, just stroking it in. And I'm going to soften this in here just a little bit. Same here. Going to use up a little bit of green. I'll bring this into the path, just soften all the edges. Then I'm going to take some of the cloud colour. I want to bring this in. I'm going to leave it there for a second. A little bit more of the cloud colour, and I'm going to drop this into the path. Just take this up a little bit. take some water again. I just want to fade this out. I want to paint the foreground, pretty simple. I'm going to leave that to dry and then we'll put some grasses in. I just want to take some burnt sienna and a mixture of a few colours just to flick some grasses in. Just helps break up the washes and adds a little bit more interest to the foreground. And you can use all the earth colours, the browns. Try to have them not all going in the same direction. Maybe some darker ones in as well. French ultramarine burnt umber. Just using a fine detail brush for this. Maybe a few of the into the path. That's really about all I want to do to that. It's just an indication. It shows you what you can do with a nice gentle sky, and I'm going to put a couple of birds in here. And this is where you get to put a sign it, put a mount around it and frame it. Please use the comment section if you've enjoyed this. It just shows you what you can do with just a few colours being dropped in and a little bit of patience with watercolour. It's really about timing when you put your colours in. And I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.